Hello everyone and welcome back to the Formula 1 2021 League. We are in Monza, we are in Italy. It is one of the faster tracks of the season. You're going to have very low wings. It's going to be fast corners. It's a lot of fun. I did mention on a previous video that this and Brazil were the two tracks I kind of knew the best, but there's a lot of people who are good on this track that I know. Checker, for one, has some ungodly low wings, so he's going to be very fast in the straights. So my goal here is just to set a really good qualifying pace as usual and hope I can sort of take away the race. Like I said last week, and I'm not going to rehash this too much, I am only going to show maybe 1 or 2 laps of qualifying, so we're going to hop right into it now. I will bring up the points before, though, so you can see it here. It's just a reminder, just if you don't remember it from the last video, so this is not new information, but you can see that we are first in the drivers and we are second in the constructors, trailing only by 6 points, and we're only ahead by 3 points. So this is a very important race for us to get right and make sure that we can continue pushing our lead.
Engine fired, we're set.
So now on to our qualifying lap. As you can see, this is my 3rd lap. The first 2 weren't very good, though we are in 2nd, but I could tell like it wasn't my best time. This first corner is really important. You can see my delta is already about to go green because of just how much better of an in and out I got, but it still wasn't perfect, so I didn't gain too much time. You can gain a few hundredths just by taking a little bit tighter line here as well, but you lose a little speed at the end. Here is extremely important. There is a curb there, and it might not look like it, but there's an invisible wall. If you hit that invisible wall, your race is probably over. So it is very important to just miss it. But if you miss it too much, you'll hit the next one, which doesn't have an invisible wall, but it will maybe spin you. It might not ruin your race, but the first one is very important. Now down the long DRS straight. This is also the most tricky part of the track. It's very fast, and I'm not fully confident you can see me lifting, but I'm still 4/10ths up. The most important part of those 2 or 3 corners there is getting the exit. You get so much time from getting a clean exit, so you're almost better off being a little slow on the first one to get the 2nd and 3rd one perfect. And now I'm just going to take the tight inside line here, try to do the shortest distance possible, and we're going to set a 1:28, and it's going to be good enough to get us pole position by 0.02 of a second on checker. This is so important for us in terms of the championship, especially as you see the 2 alphas in 4th and 5th. I want them far behind me, and I want to make sure that checker, with all his pace, doesn't try to get me into corner 1. Now onto the race itself. We're just doing enough fuel. You can see my tires are definitely going to make it to the end, and that could cause some people to do an undercut, and we'll see how that plays out once we get to strategies. But for now, it's going to be 5 red lights, checker on our inside going into turn 1, and it's a super fast light, but we get a very clean start. I'm going to do a quick check behind me, make sure that no one's even close. And now I'm going to lean a little bit to the right, but not too much. I know I have this corner, but I want to make sure no one dives on me. So I control that corner and I control the pace. And immediately I have a 2nd on checker as Sinful, coming from 4th, I think, almost makes a move on Chills, but Chills looks like he gets the switchback. And we're just going to, as usual, turn on our overtake and make sure we get a huge gap, because on lap 3, as usual, we're going to have DRS. And I'm going to put up a little thing here because I know there's a few people who watch this and you might not know all the terms that I'm talking about. Last week I brought up the tires, and you might be able to infer things from the strategy, but I'm going to bring up a thing here with the DRS. So this is DRS. What it means is there's certain DRS zones that you can see on the track highlighted in a green section. What that means is if you are trailing a car ahead of you by a second or less, you have a back flap that will open up, that you're allowed to open up, and this will decrease your drag, thus giving you more speed. Usually, depending on the track, it can be upwards of like 25 to 30 kilometers an hour. So it is very powerful. So this is the reason why I want to keep people behind me out of it, because as I'm in first place, I cannot get DRS from anyone unless it's a back marker who I'm about to lap. So keeping Sinful, who's now second, by the way, as I say that, commentator's curse, drops to third again as Checkers probably just got too much straight line speed. They're going to be fighting it out. They're going to get DRS off each other, but I want them far behind me. I don't want them to gain the advantage off me. I see yellow. Oh, Checker spun on the chicane.
VSC.
Boxing.
This lap then, come into the pits at the end of this
baby.
lap. Okay, slow down, slow down. Your delta is negative, which means you are too fast. Reduce your pace.
Oh my god. The delta was up and it wasn't showing me my pit speed. Chill says a 5-second penalty. Moro didn't pit. It's because Sinful pit.
Release.
Our gap's actually going to help us.
Disaster
Speed
merchants,
now.
Mike.
Let's get some heat
Yeah,
into those
a little bit.
tires.
So there's a lot to unpack about what just happened. So essentially, in the chicane that I said was so dangerous in qualifying, Checker spun, and it's very easy to spin on there, and it's actually going to be a theme of this race where I intentionally go slower on it, even though it's going to lose me like half a second. My gap is so high that I just doesn't matter to me. And I was a little bit faster than everyone else in the other corners, so it didn't really matter, but I did not want to risk spinning there. But Checker does, and it causes a virtual safety car. So we don't, and this is going to be another thing where I'm going to try and explain it rather than just say it. Difference between a safety car and a virtual safety car. As you can see here, virtual safety car's ending, meaning that we go right up to speed. There's no getting everyone grouped up again, and DRS is immediately enabled. Unlike a safety car, in which the safety car will literally come out, we will all line up behind it, and then for the first 2 laps, DRS is not activated. So that might give you a bit more context into the other videos, and I hope that's a pretty good explanation. So after that, we also have Moro not going into the pits. Why is that important? Why didn't he pit there? And why did everyone else just suddenly slam into the pits? Under a virtual safety car, there's the delta. You must maintain your delta, otherwise you'll get a penalty, which is always much slower than the racing speed. So going into the pits while everyone who doesn't go into the pits is still trying to drive around the track at a slow speed, you essentially get a cheaper pit stop because they can't negate your time saved in the pit lane by going faster. They have to keep their speed. So Moro didn't go into the pits specifically because his teammate was ahead of him and his teammate went into the pit. So if he went in the pits as well, he would have lost probably about 6 to 8 seconds worth of time. So it wasn't worth it for him to lose that time. If it was a safety car, he probably would have double stacked, or at least try to go really fast all the way around. But I don't know. That's a complicated situation by itself. So just wanted to explain kind of what happened there. And Phil and I get the advantage because we were so spaced on the track that we could double stack the pits, unlike the Alfa Romeros, because by the time I was done my pit, he was only just entering the pit lane, which meant the pit crew would be ready. He wouldn't have to wait behind me. So that's why he says we're a bit fortunate there, because unlike everyone else, they probably had to work around that and they lost time. So now at the start of lap 8, I just want to showcase here just how much time I saved after Moro came out of the pits. He ends up about 11 seconds behind me and 3 seconds behind his teammate, which I believe he was only about a second behind his teammate. I'll have to double check that, but he lost a bit of time, obviously, going around the track at a slow pace. But he's also very fast on his mediums, and he's going to end up passing Sinful in second. I know I keep saying Sinful. He's Creamy Cocoa for some reason right now, but if you're confused, that's Sinful. And so he's gonna eventually pass his teammate and have a run at me, but I am so far ahead at 8 seconds, and I'm still like able to push with a bit of battery. My straight line speed's still really good. It's only this part of the track right here in which you'll see me brake hard and I coast. I am not even remotely trying to take that corner efficiently. It is, and it loses me, what, 3, 4, maybe 5 tenths there? And I said earlier, I don't care. I don't want to spin. We saw what happened to Checker. He's out of the race. I want to take the win here, and I don't care how much time I lose. I have, essentially, Sinful right now has to gain, in 5 laps, he has to gain almost 2 seconds a lap to catch up to me. And same with Moro, who you can see within that lap gained about 1.5 seconds to his teammate. So you can see how fast he is and how hard he's pushing, but I refuse to go into that. I'm just going to let him do his race and see if he screws up, and I'm going to try and take home first.
5 laps.
My tires are just hitting 20%. That's how much of an undercut you can do. Still wouldn't do any more than that, though, because the softs are still good for a long time. God, I don't know what it is about this corner. I lift so hard. I lost 1 second tomorrow there, because I just did not want to. Just a bit of in-game comms of me confirming what I just said. I was like, I just didn't care. And you can see Moro has caught up. He's 3.5 seconds ahead of his teammate, but then seemingly my teammate is in first for some reason. This is the same weekend as Abu Dhabi, and there was just some glitches happening where he was randomly being put into first, and I have no idea why. But then I see a green flag pop up, and all of a sudden Moro is out of the session, a full DNF, and that means one of the alphas, as we come across the line to take first, is not in the points, and that is so important for the Constructors' Championship. And here are the points. You can see that firmly puts us in first for the drivers, and it gives us a 1-point lead for the Constructors' Championship over Alfa Romeo. That's how important that DNF was. And after last weekend, which was Brazil, and as I call it, the spin that crushed me, we now have 2 back-to-back wins. It's really what we needed going into the next weekend. I think it's our first lead of the season. You can see my teammate there, despite all the desync issues, did in fact finish 6th. So again, good finish for him as well. And all those points really matter. So thank you everyone for watching. I appreciate it. There's apparently more than just the normal people I send this to, and I know some of the people who race in this are now watching. So hi to you guys, and welcome. But if you're outside the channel, thanks for just checking this out. It's kind of just a hobby in terms of editing and our racing. So I appreciate you guys coming, and I hope to see you next time. The next week we are we're in France and Belgium, the Sausage Curb Central, and I think a lot of people think France is one of their better tracks, and probably Belgium's one of their better tracks. I don't know where I stand on it, but I do know that we'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it. So thank you again, and I hope to see you guys there. Bye everyone.